Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. Where do I start? I'm just a girl from the Bronx.
The Bronx. Hello, everyone. This is the Creativity Cocktail with Rising Tides Charity. I'm here with Rhonda Morgan today. I didn't even do my usual intro where I like slide in the guests and tell this great intro. I just said, let me just put Rhonda up here right now. Rhonda is so Rhonda. It's so great to have you. Rhonda is she's probably a little bit different than some of the other guests that we've had, where a lot of the guests are creatives and they've done something creative at some point or they're in the creative world. Rhonda has done that, but she also has, in my opinion, one of the strongest networks of any human being that I know. So she knows many people. She's in many entities, many organizations. She has such a real powerful sense of what's going on around Atlanta. And Rhonda, you have been one of the inspirations for me personally to start this organization. When we
Really?
Yeah, when we decided to do Rising Tides charity, I said, well, I said our platform is to help creatives find their voice, and you've done that. And then I personally realized that there were so many creatives that had a voice or should have shared their voice, but they didn't for whatever reason. And then
Right.
I personally lost a couple of people from violence, where I grew up in New York, who were creative people. Well, I knew that they were creative, but they didn't let anybody else know. And once I had one of my readings for one of my plays, and I had a young man come to me, and he said, "Mr. Wilson, he was like a baby face, 6'5" kid." And he looked at me and he said, I was struggling with my self-esteem. I was struggling with who I am, and I didn't know what to do, but your play inspired me. And I was like, what? Play? And so I said, this is breaking my heart. I can't have young people or the creative spirit that God gave them not realize that there's one way. It's not the only way. You got therapy
Right.
and other ways to get that out there. And so we created Rising Tides Charity, and you have been such an instrumental part of my life. Your story, I've had a chance to be part of your story on some level. You shared it with me. It inspired me to help create this organization. So welcome. Welcome to the Rising Tide.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
So, so we are doing this in a couple of ways. Well, we are doing this in audio and in video today. So for those of you who follow the Creativity Cocktail and Rising Tide Charity, you'll still be able to see it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, all the good places. And at the same time, those who are access to video, you'll be able to see it on YouTube and VMO. So Rhonda, again, welcome. Tell the audience a little bit about you.
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. Where do I start? I'm just a girl from the Bronx. I'm just a girl from the Bronx that God showed favor. You know, I am a serial entrepreneur, lover of people, um, a philanthropist at heart. Um, gosh, and just a giver because I believe you don't give to receive, but if you give, inevitably you receive.
Right.
And I have received so many blessings as far as life, opportunities, people that God has placed in my life. And I'm just a servant. That's who I am at the core. Everything else is extra. Yeah, I'm an influencer. Yeah, I'm a socialite, blah, blah, blah. But but the bottom line is I'm a servant.
Wow.
I am a servant. Um, and that's the bottom line.
Wow.
Hmm. That's the core of who I am.
So I didn't know you were going to bring the Bronx part into it, but years when I was young, and Rhonda and I are cousins, for those of you who didn't know that.
No, we're brethren.
That's right.
You're my brethren.
Right. Sisters, or well, I don't know how to.
All of that.
All of that kind of stuff. And so I used to tell
this is going to be fun.
I used to tell this story that back then, and this will definitely indicate for those of you out there my ages, I used to go to see Rhonda and her mom, and I lived in Long Island, and they lived in the Bronx, and I must have been about 8, 9, 10 years old or so. And what I would do is I would just go and take the bus and the train from Long Island to the Bronx. And even back then, people were looking at me crazy because I was like, what's this 8, 9-year-old doing on the train by himself? And I think I told this story a couple of times. So I know you heard Rhonda. But you know what? I didn't have any fear because I was going to see Rhonda and my Aunt Ruby. So people would look at me like, yo, don't mess with that 9-year-old.
He's on a mission.
He's on a mission. I don't know where he's going, but he's on a mission. And you know when you have that moment in life where your purpose is so clear, and you don't have any fear because you know where you're
going. Wow, that's an amazing analogy.
And that's what you and Aunt Ruby and our whole family have done. Some of people are familiar with our family story, where our family came from Jamaica, and we've all done amazing things here. And in order to not just help ourselves, but to help people in a broader sense. It's just been a great story, and I know that Aunt Ruby and my mom and dad and all of that, they're all proud of all the things that we've done. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% proud of you. Every time I need to find out what to do or where to go, I'm like, I need a venue. I need somebody who does this, who can do this here or there. I call Rhonda. First. So amazing.
Well, I'm even more so proud of you. Look at this platform that you created.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about creativity. Let's talk about it from your view. And I'm going to ask you kind of a different question than I typically ask of a guest. I want to ask you about, how do you view creativity in Atlanta? So you probably see different venues or different types of creativity, whether it's people talking about film or theater or art or whatever it might be. I'd like you to get your view on our city, because you and I have lived here probably around the same time. What's the good, the bad in Atlanta?
I think creativity in Atlanta is just that. There's no box. There's no beginning and there's no end to creativity in Atlanta. We have, we have arts, we have actors, and like yourself, we have music. Like we're a huge melting pot. Everything that Tyler Perry is doing as well here. I think it's great because it's a great opportunity for our city, but not just for our city, but for our people to come and know that they're going to be respected and they're going to be valued. And I'm not in that space, but prayerfully, they're going to be paid what they're worth. Right? I think that's amazing. I think you can come here and you can create your own lane, and people will be open to receiving that. The bad, I don't think there's anything bad. I think it's all good right now. If I had to say something that I would just hope that everyone, don't take for granted what you have, right? Because if you do, then you will have it no more. Because there's always someone out there looking in saying, okay, they're just waiting for you to slip, because if you slip, you slide right out the door, right? And opportunities, they're never missed. They're simply passed on to someone else. So make sure that you carpe diem, which I actually have tattooed on my foot. I'll spare the audience and not show you because I haven't had a manicure in 3 weeks. I mean, a pedicure in 3 weeks. But carpe diem,
Right.
seize the day, seize the moment. Because if you don't, there's someone else who's waiting patiently to take advantage of that.
You know, and that is amazing. And as we talk right now, we are going through the pandemic. So our hope is that by the time this goes out to the world, that the pandemic is over. But it's 50-50 whether that'll be the case. And with the pandemic, and we know that that means a lot of people are sick and are suffering and those kind of things. It is also an opportunity for us to create new possibilities, right? Creative people.
Yes,
You know,
yes, yes.
you know,
This is when ideas, those $1 million ideas are made, or right now.
that's right.
We have nothing but time. And it's sometimes we'll see a new product or an idea or something. We say, God, I thought about that, or why didn't I think about that? And you probably did, but you just assume that it's already out there. Or it could be something that's similar, but your twist on it could take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So, one thing I'm doing during this pandemic, and I know this is not what it's about, but I think it's relevant, is just I'm not a big journaler, which I wish I was, but when I think of something, I'm jotting it down because because I have this extra time, I guess. I can really, really hone in on my thoughts and not dismiss it to say, oh, I got to take this call or I'm running to an appointment. If a thought comes in my mind, I'm like, let me just write it down so I don't forget.
Awesome. I tell you, I
Mm-hmm.
am a journalist or journaler, and I've been journaling for 20 years. And one of the things I found that's helpful for me is that it just really helps me to, like, all the ideas that are running around in my head, it drives me nuts. Like, if I don't have a place to, like, because, and I think I was mentioning this on some of our other broadcasts, but you get ideas at some of the places you don't anticipate them. I always get them when I'm going for a walk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit, I'll be very open with the audience. Sometimes I'm getting them when I'm taking a shower. I'm like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
this is
Oh, you said shh. I thought you were going the other direction. Thank you.
shower. See,
Taking a shower.
I was just being very dramatic with my shh.
I know. I was like, where is he going with this? I'm glad it was shower.
I have a real propensity to be dramatic at certain points, and so it comes at all kinds of times. When I attempt to work out, all of these moments is when an idea comes out, and you got to find a way to capture it. I'm actually creating a new
Yeah.
podcast on top of the Creativity Cocktail podcast, which is called The Creativityist. And it's about how do you take tools like journaling and like electronic and technology tools, and how do you become more effective with your creativity? Specifically, how do you do it? So the Creativityist, that should be out sometime in the summer. So I'm pretty excited about that. You have a quizzical look on your face,
Nice.
like, what is that? Is that a curiosity look, or is it like?
It's like it sounds good. I mean, anything you touch turns to gold, so I'm not worried about it. I'm just excited about it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And so, like, when you are ready to create, like, you're a published author, right? You've been in a few books and those kind of things.
Hmm.
How do you mentally get yourself in the right mindset or frame of mind to be creative? You just go for it, or is there some process that happens to get there?
It's interesting you say that because I've never given it thought. I write blogs too sometimes, which you may or may not know, and for some companies because my career is a realtor. So I write blogs for. Oh, you've known because you've read some of them for Cummings home generators. Yeah, and honestly, It's like down to the wire. I'll think about it, think about it, think about it. In life, in general, I overthink everything. People don't believe me when I say that. I overthink everything.
Uh,
Maybe it's because of my career. When I'm going into a transaction, I think about the end, the different ways that it can end, good, bad, and indifferent. And that's kind of how I approach every situation, which isn't always good. So I tend to overthink things, but when I have to write and they say, okay, Rhonda, the deadline is tomorrow at 5, and I think, well, shoot, it's already, 6 o'clock. I probably should get started. and it's just amazing when you when and sometimes if I don't know what to write about, I just say, okay, I just need a starting point. Just like decorating. Decorating is a hobby for me. And I just look like if I'm gonna redo my guest room. So I'm online now. I just need some place to start. It can be a picture, it can be a lamp,
but you do
you
a
know.
process.
One blog I
It
wrote.
sounds like you
Mhm.
have a process though that you go through, even if it's a mental process, as far as formulating the
Oh, maybe
idea
okay.
and how you're going to get to where you need.
It's when it's something has to speak to me. Um, like the one blog I did was for I did about the eclipse. I didn't know that, it just happened. The eclipse came and I was like, oh, this is perfect to write about the need for generators for the eclipse. It's like something just happens and I take that and then I build around that. So that's about as creative as I get.
Really, I don't know. I've known you for a long time, and I know you've been involved in lots of events, and you helped to put on several events all throughout the city, and those things have been fantastic. So I know that there's creativity on different levels that exist within you. Yeah.
You're right. I am always down for a good time, a good party. I it's funny you say that because I will create a game just like that. Like I love to entertain, and if I have people over, I'll just create a game just like that. I don't know. It's a gift, maybe.
Uh, well,
Thank you, Lord.
your annual New Year's Day event had one of the most inventive karaoke things I've ever been involved in. I've tried to do karaoke in my house, and people just like, I can't sing. But yours really was good. It really even allowed someone who's a horrible singer like myself to get involved, get into it. So I thought it was great. That was super creative. I think it was to the point where I've heard other people say that they've used that idea that you had and the way you formulated it. It looks like it took a lot of mental work to figure out how to do that.
No, it's just, and that's the thing. It just comes to me, and I guess I say I overthink things, but then maybe some things I don't. Things that are fun when it comes to making people feel good and sharing. I think that comes easy. That's natural. What can I do to make you laugh, to make you feel better about yourself? Those things, it's just fluid. It just just flows.
Right. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I think you mentioned that your profession is a realtor, and it sounds like when you got a client and they're looking for a home, you're helping them to create a vision. It's like a collaborative creation. I don't know. I could be going too far, but
Yes.
it seems like someone says, "I want a house that has all of this," and I would imagine you get some kind of endorphins released or dopamine when they finally find that house that's like what they were imagining, and all of a sudden it clicks for them, or whatever it is.
Right. And it is, and it's exciting because a lot of time people don't really know what they want.
Yeah.
But I've learned over 20 years being in this business to be a really good listener and not listen to what people don't say more so than what they do say. And then when you put the two together, then you hit the jackpot.
Wow. So I don't know if I've ever asked you this, and I know you've done real estate for a long time. How did you get into it? What started you?
Wow. So, I moved here with my daughter was really young at the time, Kiana, and she was not a morning person like her mother. She came by it honestly. And we were late almost every day for school. I would get speeding tickets, you know, and then I was working multiple jobs. I talked about this in one of my books. I was working multiple jobs, and I was missing things like growing up. My parents went to work. They weren't leaving work to come to school to see me sing or do anything like that.
Yep.
But I understood that. But I wanted it to be different, right? I wanted to be that parent that was able to go to have lunch during the day and go to the assembly or whatever it was. And I just made a decision, like what can give me flexibility. I started out as an investor, and I had a friend who was licensed, and she was my agent, and we just had a conversation, and I said, you know what? I'm going to try. I'm just going to do it. And I went to church. So I got my license like on a Thursday. And I went to church that Sunday. And in church, you kind of sit in the same section, the same
That's
pew.
right. Yeah.
You got your same, right? Your same friends. So I said to my friend, I said, hey, you want to buy a house? And she says, I can't buy a house. I said, well, I just got my license. Let's try, right? So we tried.
What a
I
pretty first
swear,
client.
God is my witness. And I said, well, let's try. So I hooked her up with the lender. Anyway, we tried. She got approved. And it was hilarious, the whole process. She was so gracious because she knew she was my first client. And I think she was just so excited because she didn't think that she was able to purchase. And she's still in that house till this day, 20 years later.
Really?
And so it just happened. And that's how a lot of things happen in my life. I just say, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Failure is not an option. I don't look at it as failure. It's a learning experience. If it doesn't work out, then I'll just try something else.
That's
Right.
That is it.
So,
That is definitely
so
yeah. That is definitely the way I live too. Just got to do it. I can't tell you the amount of times that I fail, and I don't really know because they just are things that I just learned, and I just kept going.
right. It's like, oh, that didn't work.
You know.
Next.
Yeah. And
It's not failure at all.
it gets to a point sometimes that you and I probably both experience that when you get in a room with people and like someone's got an idea, like let's go ahead and try to do something, and then people will say stuff like, "Yeah, I don't think we can do it," or "I don't think that that's realistic," or
Yeah.
"We're going to try to boil the ocean," and they'll try to do all these.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, the whole thing falls apart. And
Right.
generally from there, and I don't know if this is a character flaw or a character strength, is that if I think it's a good idea, I'm gonna try it anyway, even if it's just me,
Mm-hmm.
somebody else, and if it fails, you won't know about it. But all it will do is inform me about how to make the next thing bigger and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just so interesting that we live in a life and we live in whatever the issues are with the United States of America. At least you can get up tomorrow and say, you know what, I want to do something different. And so,
Yeah.
if you can, why don't you try to do it? Why are you waiting for stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You need to be super educated. You don't need to be super rich. You just need to say, just have determination and say, I'm gonna do something tomorrow. And
Right.
and not saying you're going to, but in the history of the earth, way back when you used to get up in the morning 300 years ago, your life was already predetermined what you're going to do. 300,
Yep.
you knew exactly who was the boss of you and what you were going to do
Right.
today. And that's not the
Mm-hmm.
case these days. So you got lots of people that you know, obviously. You know so many people. Who are some of the people now? Because if I ask this question, you could probably tell me 30 people. Who are some of the people lately who have given you inspiration in your life? Who are some of those people?
Wow. Oh, just so you guys know, he did not prepare me for these questions.
That's great. Just go ahead and go for it.
The people now. aside from you, which is a given.
Thank you.
I'm gonna really make it really, really, really basic. Not even talking about Michelle Obama, how she supported her husband, even though she was like, I'm not really feeling this, but if this is what you want to do, I got you. Right? We're not gonna talk about her. We're not gonna talk about Oprah, who they were like, oh no, you're this and you're that and the other. You can't do it. And now she's like, excuse me, hello, look at me. I am the most loved, powerful person in the world. I'm not going to talk about Oprah. You know, um, I'm not going to talk about. You think you cracking up? I'm not. Well, I could go on and on, but I'm gonna take it down to like my circle, like my friend Shanti, who we just talked about, who turned her shame into a friggin' movement called Silence to Shame, who was embarrassed about sharing her challenges with mental health and her dad taking his life. Okay, that's my friend, and that's someone right here that we can touch and feel and we can truly relate to. Okay,
Before you,
let's talk about.
I just wanted to.
Mhm.
She is so inspirational. One of these days, I hope to have her on the podcast because you and her and so many people are the reason why we do this. I've had a
Mhm.
chance to do some of the walks and some of those things that she's done. You're right about a movement. Yeah, I hear what she's doing now go way beyond what she started. You hear it on news broadcasts. You hear it so many places.
Mhm.
She has just done such a phenomenal job in regards to making sure that people know that mental health is such an important thing for all of us. And with this
Mhm.
and with this pandemic, I am 1,000% sure that most of us, a lot of us, are going to have some mental anxiety and or challenges that come out of this at some point.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But those are the unsung heroes. You know what I mean? And she was ashamed and embarrassed, and she said, "You know what? I can no longer live in shame," and created a movement. Um, Speaking of pandemic, what's going on right now? D Nice.
Oh yeah.
I love D Nice, have been a fan and follower of D Nice for many, many years. But you remember I talked about opportunities are never missed, they're simply passed on to someone else.
Right.
He saw an opportunity. He was just doing what he loves. He was giving back. He was just doing what he loves and
He's
look what happened.
created possibilities not just for himself, but sometimes on some of his shows, he's now having other people who are doing great things in the community like jump in and talk about what's going on with them. That is so amazing. It really is.
Other DJs,
Yeah.
I was listening to my friend One Sound Entertainment, Mark Battle, before we got on this call. Giving other DJs the opportunity, giving them, exposing them rather to that platform that they had but didn't really know what they had,
Right.
and pinning their cash app so that they can make money too while they're doing this. You know, um, my good friend Alicia, who's an amazing graphic artist, who said, you know what? I've been working for someone for so long, and she still works for them, but she's created her own line. Oh God, I forgot what it's called. But anyway, of greeting cards and clothing and things like that. Like those are the people that inspire me, that make me say, you know what, Rhonda, you're just a girl from the Bronx, but God has blessed you. He has placed you in groups. He's introduced you to people. He has placed you in situations and scenarios that you can't pay to be in.
Right.
Right? You have relationships with people that I don't even know how those relationships how they happened, but they happen and they're solid. And so those, and I can go on and on and on and on, but those are the type of people that truly, truly inspire me, because I can truly watch their pattern and know that they are sincere,
Right.
and they are doing it selflessly. But again, when you give, you inevitably receive if you have a good heart.
Yes, that is wonderful. I believe that the universe, there's currency that exists in everything that we do. every conversation that we have,
Hmm.
every moment of service or love that we give to somebody, it's like it's money. It's the same thing like money, but we just can't see it. And the more of that you
Right.
deposit, the more it creates. And so those
Absolutely. You about to get me shouting in here. Absolutely.
are.
Make sure you play this on a
That's right.
Sunday.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
All right, we'll
Yes.
make a little background music with those big things there that exist. But, so there's lots of ways that people, well, I should it. How can someone who says Rhonda is so amazing, I need to know more about her. I need to reach out or find a way to connect with her. What are some ways that people can do?
They can call me, which is the best way. I'm old school. I answer all of my calls. If I miss a call, it's because I'm probably in the shower. But people can always call me. Um, at my number. Should I say my number?
Sure, I can put in the show notes either way.
People can always call me 770-912-8838. Just say that you know Winston. If you know Winston, you know me. We're family. It's all good. If you want to talk, you want to laugh, you want to cry, you want to, throw some ideas around. I love it because Winston and I, we could be having lunch and we can curate a whole event within 30 minutes from beginning to end.
There's
But like, we want this type of venue. These are the type of people we're inviting. This is this, and this. So we can do that.
bam, just like that.
Right. You can reach me on social media, which is not the best way. Rhonda Morgan, you can put in my number or email me, Rhonda, RHONDA, at realtorpremier.com.
Wow.
But my social media is at the Morgan Home Team on Instagram. I just learned, don't tell anybody, not too long ago, I just learned how to check messages and stuff. So
What do you mean?
I didn't really know what all of that was.
What do you mean check? What do you mean by that?
Like you have the icon, and I'm like,
Oh,
I don't communicate like this. Can you call me or text me?
you mean the little red thing that's on your social media?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
There's this red dot now that I can't get rid of. I don't know. I got to call one of my millennials or you.
I tell you, once you get that red dot's gonna be there for you specifically. That red dot's gonna be there for a while. People are gonna be what you call it, sliding into DMs and all that kind of stuff.
Slide it in the DMs.
You're gonna have a lot of that going on. So,
Yeah, but that's fine. They can call me, and that's the best way to reach me.
that is awesome. It's been like you said, we could literally, and this won't be the last podcast it will have. This will be like part one of our conversation
Hmm.
under. So we're gonna have a series of conversations just like this. There's no doubt about it. I think that will be.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I got a lot to talk about. Yes.
So someone is saying to themselves right now, I want to have. I don't want to wait for the phone call. I don't want to call Rhonda right now. I don't want to call her. I want to have a conversation with her now. So I'm not in the scene anymore. It's you and that person. That person calls you up and says, Rhonda, I'm struggling. I was a creative person, or I am a creative person, but I'm just struggling with my voice. I don't know how to find it. I don't know how to share it. And I'm going through sadness of some kind. So you're having this conversation with this person one on one, and they say, Rhonda, can you give me some thoughts or some guidance? What are you telling that person?
So I understand the question. They are a creative. They don't know how to share it with the world, or is that the question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or they may have in the past, and they've been inhibited by something that says, hey, I can no longer be creative, or whatever it might be. It might be the world, might be their own personal demons, whatever it might be, is having an effect on
Right. Well, I would say one, just do it. Don't quit. because of other people. I mean, it's amazing. There's this saying, and you can help me with this because I'm sure I'm going to mess it up. But we're always worried about, like, you can't please all of the people all of the time,
That's right.
in essence,
That's right.
right? And so I would say first focus on you and what brings you peace and joy. And if that's your happy place, then focus on that and stay there, right? And if it's not that simple, then you should seek help. Talk to someone. There's so many therapists out there. They even have therapists online. There's this one called, I think, Maven, where they have therapists online. If you can't go in or you don't want to go in, they even have hotlines. So just
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
we had on the podcast Tamina Ward, who has an app and a website called Black Therapy Love, where she has therapists from all over the country, ready and available for
Oh, I love that.
people who are interested. It's just an amazing thing, and you can just pull up the app or go on the website, and you can just find a therapist in your locale, which is great.
That is great. And I say, it's okay to not be okay. I say that so often because we are all human. We're all made of flesh. This is flesh and bones. Okay? We're all human. So it's okay to not be okay. You just can't stay there, right? So so you're there and you're like, okay, you know what? This isn't working out for me. Okay, you're there for a minute. Now, guess what? Pick yourself up by your bootstraps. And at that point, if you're like, I just can't do it, then you call me and I will help you. I will connect you. I'm not a therapist, so I can't say that I'll advise you, but I will connect you. I will get you to talk to the right people. Mm-hmm.
It's been so awesome to have you. For those of you who are out there, we're hoping that you have listened to the things that Rhonda has shared. Rhonda, we will be combining yourself and all the people who've been a participant on our podcast by the end of the year and creating an audio book with snippets of all of these fantastic things that you've shared and others have shared.
Oh.
So we are hopeful that
Nice.
you'll be okay with that, because it'll be a great way.
Yes.
It'll be a great way for people to get so we hope that continues. So it's been so amazing to have you. I am so looking forward to all the things that you're doing. I got your back on everything. It's just, we've known each other since we've been little kids.
Yes.
And you have helped me to get to this point, and thank you so much for that. I really do. For those of you who are out there,
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. The audience is all over the world. We have people from Australia and from Asia and from other places to listen to the Creativity Cocktail. God has given you the ability to be creative. That's it, point blank. Don't let someone tell you that you're not. Don't let someone try to put you in a box and says, hey, you can or cannot be this, and the world has put this around you. At this point in history, you have the ability to be more than you ever can be. So that means you can really think about what it is that I need to create. You can create an app. You can write a story. You can be an actor. You can do a speech. Whatever it is, you can create a building. Whatever it is, you can do that. And so that is what the focus is of the Creativity Cocktail, powered by Rising Tide Charity. Rhonda, you're awesome. Thank you for joining us today. It's been amazing.
Mwah. Mwah.
To have you, everyone that's out there. This is Winston, and we are out. Take care.
Mwah. Love you. Thank you.